in Week 13. Ironically, the last team to beat Shadyside just so happens to be the only other Ohio OVAC team remaining. Monroe Central in Division 5, Region 19. The 10-2 Knolls will play 11-1 Smithville Friday, 7:30 at Dover's Crater Stadium. The Knolls defense has only allowed 3 points in their 2 playoff games so far. And with junior running back Christopher Wilson making big runs like this one, the Knolls are tough to beat. Wilson ran for 202 yards and 2 scores in Friday's win over Crooksville. But Smithville will be tough to beat. They scored 36 points against Shenandoah, a team that shut out the Knolls. But this is totally different now. It's playoff football, and you never know. Yards. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Page. Pleased to be joined by Monroe Central head coach Jay Turcasa. His Knolls in the regional final for the first time ever. Matter of fact, first time ever in your 7 trips to the postseason. Coach, first of all, congratulations on the win on Friday night against Crooksville. A hard-fought game, 19-3. Another great defensive effort by your Knolls.
Well, it was a tremendous win for us, Mike. You know, as you mentioned, 7 times in the playoffs, and this is the first time that we're going to be playing for a regional championship. And it was a big win for us because we've been struggling a little bit offensively, and we put together some things offensively and came up with another great performance defensively.
Now, you knew Crooksville coming in and was going to run the football, and I think they sort of scrapped their game plan midway through the third quarter, and Dan McGrew and I, who did the game, thought it was a little early to start going away from that. They were throwing, and I know you were over there sitting there saying thank you.
Well, you know, we felt coming in that they had the idea, because of their size advantage, that they were going to line up and run the ball at us, and that's what they had done best all year. But they had thrown the football real well. In fact, our quarterback had thrown for over 1,000 yards, and they had a couple of real nice receivers. But I think you're right. They did panic a little bit when they couldn't run the ball against us, and they started throwing the ball, and things just didn't work out for them, and it kind of put us in the driver's seat.
Next up for the Knolls, Smithville, the Smithies. You know they like to run the ball. They did it well against Shenandoah on Friday night. My goodness, scoring 36 points on the team that shut you out. It'll be another tough task for your defensive line, who really did a number on Crooksville.
Well, we're probably going to be outsized again, Mike, as we've been all year long. And as I understand, Smithville has a couple nice running backs, and they like to run the football. They've only thrown the football 88 times this year. I think they threw the ball 6 times against Shenandoah and completed 3. So we know they're going to try to do the same thing. They're going to line up and let the big guys try to pave the way for their 2 big running backs.
Your defense has been so phenomenal, only giving up 63 points all season. That's 12 games. You do the math. That is pretty good.
Well, our defense has been sound. And, you know, they always say if you play sound, good defense, you're in every ball game, and you got a chance to win some championships. And our defense has been real sound this year. And got to give a lot of credit to our defensive coordinator, Coach David Sherman, and the rest of our staff, because they've worked real hard and done a fine job with our defense as far as setting up different schemes and game plans, and these young men have carried it out. Like we say, we're not very big, but they're aggressive and they go to the football and they're using their quickness.
You've been around this game over 30 years. You've played. How do you teach those smaller defensive linemen to get around the bigger offensive linemen, or do you have them stand the offensive lineman up and let your linebackers make tackles? What approach did you guys use against Crooksville? Because it's hard to tell.
Well, we use a lot of different blitzes in games. In fact, Coach Sherman and defensive people came up with a little different scheme there at halftime, and we used something we hadn't used before. And being that we're small, we have to utilize our quickness and take advantage of the blitzes in the games to get our people where we want them to be, and then let the other people clean up.
Your defensive ends were flat out incredible.
Per game out of both of our defensive ends, Aaron Cease, he's played well all year long. I thought Dan Miller had the best game of the year. They put a lot of pressure on from the outside. And when you got guys in the middle like T.J. Stevens, Randall Seifert, Nate Schauber, they just keep coming at you and put a lot of pressure with their quickness. And then our linebackers have been there all year.
And yeah, number 46 is pretty good on your team as well. Leading rusher and leading tackler, Christopher Wilson. No one had ever thought he'd get 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in a regional semifinal game.
Well, what a game he had the other night, Mike. Just outstanding performance. But as I said after the game, Christopher's been doing this all year long. He's 155 pounds, plays like he's 185 or 90 pounds. And the thing that people don't realize is what he's doing on offense, But they don't understand that when he's on defense, he's at linebacker, and he's taking a lot of beatings, he's making a lot of tackles, and then he comes on the offensive side of the ball and performs extremely well. So we're real proud of him, as we are our entire offense and defense. And I think Christopher will be the first one to tell you, as he said the other night, these guys up front did a tremendous job the other night blocking, and that enabled him to do what he did.
Does he ever come off the field?
I don't think so.
A few times, right, on some specialties?
Yeah, he's there about all the time.
Wow. Pretty impressive for a junior, Christopher Wilson. That was over 1,300 yards. We talked a little bit about the Knowles and their preparation for Crooksville and how that game shook out. And now the Smithville Smithies are coming up this week for Jason Costa and the Knowles. Time for a quick break. We'll come back with more. And head coach Jason Costa of Monroe Central right after this.
One toll-free call gives you an accurate, updated forecast for free. Call the 7 News 24-hour instant weather line, sponsored by Voictel.
Hi, I'm Robin Ellis of Ellis Interiors, here with some news you may not know. Ellis Interiors has it all. That's right, Ellis Interiors has furniture for every taste and every budget. We have a large selection of comfortable bedding, elegant dining room sets, sofas, tables, and lamps to design your perfect living room and so much more. Come in and check out our selection of sofas starting at $4.99 or bedding sets from only $1.99. Ellis Interiors really does have something for everyone, bringing you quality home furnishings at affordable prices.
We're back on the Sunday Sports page. Head coach Jason Costa of the Monroe Central Seminoles with 222 wins now. A pretty big number coming into a year after you finished 2-8 that you never thought you'd get to this year at least. And with only 3 seniors on the club, that's pretty outstanding.
Well, you know, we had an off year last year, Mike, 2-8. That's not characteristic of our football teams, and our kids were anxious to get back this year and kind of redeem themselves somewhat. And as you mentioned, we only have 3 seniors, so you know, we're still relatively young as far as class is concerned. As far as the experience, last year those sophomores and got some experience, and so they're seasoned veterans now as juniors. So that should pay off hopefully the rest of this season and also next year.
The counter was working offensively, especially to Wilson, and the guys up front really made it happen.
Well, I haven't had an opportunity, really. I've been so busy to really sit down and look at just how many times we ran that. We call that the Redskins Special. Yeah. Not because of Woodsfield Redskins, but because that play was made famous by the old Rigo Washington Redskins, and that's exactly what we called. And we ran it a ton of times last night, and you know, it was very effective for us because our offensive line did a tremendous job, and Chris does a fine job picking his holes. There were times he cut back, and that's what he does best, and there were times where he bounced it outside. So we got a lot of mileage out of that play.
Cool, sure did. Gabe Gordon, another excellent sophomore year fullback, did a nice job as another blocker as well.
Yeah, Gabe didn't get a lot of carries last night or Friday, but he has done an excellent job for us. He runs real hard and still gives us that inside threat.
Now, Michael George, the quarterback, was a little off on Friday. He was throwing some balls high. Receivers weren't catching them. I know that alarms you because at some point you're going to have to use your weapons at quarterback. But I know you wanted to get your number 1 weapon back, and that's Adam Conrad, your wide receiver. He has that bad left hamstring.
Well, you know, that is one phase of our offensive game that I'm not real satisfied with, Mike, and that is our passing game. Because when you get to this level, there's going to be a lot of people up front, and they're going to probably try to shut down our run, and we're going to have to be successful throwing the football. And last night, Friday, our passing team wasn't what you know, it should have been and could be, and we're going to have to do a lot of work on that. You know, we had people open, we overshot a lot of times, and we're just going to have to do a better job of that to be successful down the road. We did do something that we hadn't done in the past, and that is we ran the option last night. And that's something we worked on. We hadn't really run the option all year, and I felt going into that game we needed something else to get us on the perimeter outside and something else to involve Christopher in as far as being able to pitch the ball to him. And Michael did a pretty nice job the few times we ran. One time he should have pitched it, he didn't. And but he did sneak in for a touchdown on the one. Great effort. He pitched it and did a nice job on the other one.
Was that your genius putting that into the playbook, or was that collaboration of all your coaches?
Well, I think the coaches kind of cringe when I talk about running Michael on the option because we know he is our franchise, so to speak, as far as the quarterback. We just don't have anybody who can step in and do the job like he can do it. So, you know, you take that risk of getting him banged up, but I felt we needed to do that to give us a little more diversity offensively.
So this week you'll be working on your passing game, and if you get Conrad back, that's a huge boost. How's that left hamstring?
Well, you know, Adam is a big play player, and it's a shame that that young man hasn't been able to perform since the second game the way he could. He had 2 great games to start the year, 4 touchdowns, made a lot of big plays for us. Just a junior, and the hamstring is a high hamstring pull, and it just won't heal, and we've done just about everything we can do, and we got him back for at least 1 big play last week against Licking Heights, and hopefully he might be able to go a little bit this week. He was dressed, but it's still bothering him, and he can't go 100%. He probably catch maybe a little hitch or a little out route, but he can't run the deep routes, and he doesn't have that takeoff speed that he really can make the big play.
He was hurting against Licking Heights, wasn't he, even when he was in there catching that touchdown?
Yeah, he caught the touchdown pass, but when he really hurt himself was later on. We ran a little post corner with him, and I think he slowed down a little bit and then tried to accelerate, and he re-injured it, and so he really didn't do much last week offensively in practice, so we're hoping that we could get him back. What a boost that would be to us in our passing game if we could get Adam back.
The Smithville Smithies coming up from Monroe Central, the first ever meeting of the 2 schools. They just scored 36 points on Shenandoah, and you know it's going to be a tough test, and kind of get your matchup situated there, and good luck this week. It's going to be a tough one.
Well, thanks, Mike. You know, if we can continue to play sound defense that we've been playing and generate more offense, get that passing game going, and get a nice mix of run and pass, then hopefully our kids can play well in the future.
Yeah, history in the making in Woods Field with Monroe Central. Well, if we can shut this Smithville team down, it's going to be impressive.
Well, I'd say if we do that, then I think that defense is the real deal.
Wow. Jay Sarcosta, the head coach of the Monroe Central Seminoles, taking on Smithville in the regional finals this week. Should be a great one. Thanks for coming in tonight, Coach.
Okay, Mike.
We'll have more on the Sunday Sports page right after this. Stay with us.